Hello, everyone, and welcome back to season 2 of Transform 360 podcast, where science meets compassion and we explore the intersection of healthcare, innovation, and whole person wellness. I'm your host, Sabar Shad, a pharmacist, founder, and mental health advocate. Today's conversation is one I have been genuinely looking forward to because it speaks to something so many of us can resonate, so many of us feel, but don't always have language to. The shift from
Yeah.
simply performing to truly thriving. We are joined by someone who is redefining what it means to lead, serve, and succeed both in healthcare and beyond. Dr. Christina Fontana, also known as the pharmacist coach, a trailblazing thought leader, transformational business coach, dynamic speaker, and 7-time author dedicated to helping individuals and organizations achieve breakthrough growth. With over 13 years of experience, she has built a global platform inspiring leaders to move beyond burnout and step into a space of clarity, confidence, and aligned success. What makes her work especially powerful is her ability to integrate science with strategy and a deep understanding of the human experience. She focuses on nervous system regulation as a foundation for sustainable performance, helping high achieving professionals not just do more, but actually feel better while doing it. And she's also famous for bridging the gap between the clinical expertise and personal transformation. And she's creating ripple effects that extend far beyond the individual. Dr. Christina, I'm truly honored to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And I could listen to your voice all day. I'm like ready to, it's so soothing. It's so
Thank
beautiful. I'm
you.
like, thank you for having me. I have seen you post and share this podcast, and I just really love your heart. You have such a beautiful heart, and that just drew me to be here. So I am really excited to share my heart with your audience.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that we finally got some time and we're finally recording. I would love to start from the beginning, Dr. Fontana, because I think your journey is one that so many people can resonate with, especially in healthcare. I know you began in the pharmacy field and now you're leading at such a high level in transformation and business. What was the moment, or probably a series of moments, that you realized your path was evolving beyond the traditional pharmacist role?
Yeah, so I would say it was my fifth year of pharmacy school, and I just had this knowing in me. I was going through my rotations. I went to St. John's University, so it was a 6-year program. You were 18 years old and had to decide the rest of your life. And it was a 6-year program. So it was around year 5 that I started to just have this feeling that my dad owned a pharmacy, and I knew that he probably wanted me to take it over eventually. And I had this kind of crossroads that what is it, Ralph Waldo Emerson or Robert Frost? I can't remember who it was. It was that
Mhm.
quote of two roads diverged in a wood. And I found myself taking the road less traveled, like that was me.
Yeah, okay.
And so I remember this pivotal conversation of nervously calling my father on the phone because I was in my hospital rotation, and I'm like stuttering on the phone, and I'm like, I think I want to do a residency. And he flipped out, and they were not happy. My whole family was very much against me going down that other path because they wanted me to follow what was safe, what they thought was safe. There was also a very unhealthy dynamic at the pharmacy because it was my dad, my sister, my mom that all worked there, and that's a lot. You have 3 people. And so there was this dynamic that I knew if I stayed there, I would pretty much be there the rest of my life. And I also knew it was not a healthy dynamic for me. You can't heal in environments that make you sick. And I knew that. And yet there's this decision that I knew I had to make, and this path that I was about to go down that was so unfamiliar, so scary, so uncertain. I had never had business cards. I didn't have a CV. I never had another job. And I'm like sitting here panicking, and my entire family hates me. So long story short, I went through the whole matching process of trying to get a residency because I knew that was my path to something. I don't know. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew that was the pathway I wanted to take. And it turned out to lead to this. So there you go. But the day that I actually got my residency, I went through the scramble actually. My family was furious. And I got this very angry text that I better come get my things because they were being thrown out onto the lawn. So I had literally my entire childhood room was excavated, thrown out, all like clothes and shoes and coats and hats and just everything was thrown out onto the lawn. So I had to pick my things up in leaf bags and stuff them in my tiny car. I have a picture that I always show of me being like, here I am. And it was my ultimate rock bottom. That's actually what I wrote about in this book, which we'll talk about, the fully powered framework of going from rock bottom to radiant spark, because I know I'm not the only one, like you mentioned, who goes through these rock bottom moments that feel so earth shattering and it feels like you're never going to come out of it. But in that moment, I knew that it was actually the fertile ground for a brand new beginning. And so that's what I talk about in this book, and the 11 other authors that are in the book. I want to just acknowledge them here. All of these pharmacists, so many of them courageously told their stories, and it ranges from divorce to dealing with parents that have chronic illnesses to homelessness. It's such a wide variety of topics. And I share these books and these anthologies, and I'm such a nerd and I have my own frameworks and things because I had that pain of like having nothing but the clothes on your back and your entire world changes. You have no family. My entire family was pretty much against me. And I was about to graduate pharmacy school. And I had all of these shifts and changes that were happening that I had to move very quickly. So that's where I started. I know I could keep going, so I'll let.
I had no idea about this part of your life. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And, I understand it would be so stressful seeing you. What were the moments that, still kept you grounded or made you resilient, or maybe what did you learn from that experience?
So I grew up in a very highly critical, controlled household. And very little self-compassion, very little compassion, very like go, 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 don't rest. If you rest, you're lazy, like just a lot of old programming. And I literally remember when I finally got an apartment 2 weeks later after that incident, I had like a little board that had, you can put little, what do they call that? Push pins.
Yeah.
And I started reprogramming my mind. And one of the first things I could get emotional saying this, but I love myself. I trust myself. And that was what I put. And that's how I started. That's how I had to reprogram my mind because I was in such a bad frame of mind. And I knew that I had to be away from that situation. And I've never really told that aspect of my story, but it just brings me back to that 24-year-old self that was so lost. And like, look what I've built by the grace of God. Like, it's really incredible. Like, I just kept following God's nudge and I kept believing in myself and being immersed in like Tony Robbins. I remember Tony Robbins was like my big mentor during that time. And I like went to the bookstore and I got his books and I started going to therapy and just like really healing myself because I was so broken. I was so broken. But it started with that, like those two little sticky notes, like I trust myself, I love myself. And it was not true at all. But that was the beginning of how I started picking up the pieces of this old identity of who I was to rebuild into who God was calling me to be. And so like it's just incredible. Like when I really sit with it and look at like the path over the last 14 years and being able to really impact people and to create books and retreats and frameworks and a certification where now other people are going to be licensed to like carry out my work. Like what's better than that?
That's true. I had no idea about this part of your life. Thank you for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Thank you for, because I know unfortunately the type of life we live in, social media and everything is all fake. We just come out as perfect. So thank you for talking about this. And I hope it resonates with someone and gives them hope that what you did when you were so young and now those 14 years.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm 37 now. I'm old.
Oh my God, yes, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate and respect that, Christina. I know that was a part of your life because I know it's always hard when you're stuck in a dark place. What actually helped you to get out of that mindset?
So, like I said, just really immersing myself
Yeah.
in spaces where people were way ahead of me.
Okay.
People were elevating themselves. They were bettering themselves. Like I said, Tony Robbins and like I'm trying to think, Brendan Bouchard. Like I went to all of these events. I went through
Okay.
Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Yeah.
I healed myself. I really just focused my energy on rebuilding something that I was proud of.
Right.
And then I knew after my residency, I was like,
Mhm.
I want to own a business. I want to
Mhm.
help people to never feel like this again,
Yeah.
to get out of pain. And I started to really learn more about energy and transformation and the nervous system and why people heal and why people don't heal, because there's a lot of reasons why people stay stuck because there's a hidden payoff to it. And I started studying like the David Hawkins scale, and like I could go on, just so many things. And after 14 years of doing this, I started to piece together the fact that there was actually a method to what I took thousands of people through.
Okay.
And there were certain patterns that I started to see in people. And there are 4 different main, I call them power drains, that a lot of people are operating under, but don't realize that they're not showing up to their life fully empowered, fully ready to, as an example, like scale their business. Like, right, I work with a lot of business owners, but they have things like unworthiness or people pleasing or perfectionism, shame. And that's what made me develop the fully powered framework. And I gave my signature talk last year. I'll have to send you that video
Please, yeah.
where I actually tell my story, but it's an evidence-based framework that people can go through
Yeah.
to increase their level of power. Because when we're more empowered, that's how we change the world. That's how we truly express our God-given gifts. That's how we show up with more confidence. And so I started to piece all of this together because I wanted to go through and get it. Actually, I went through the TEDx journey and got rejected 30, but it was actually great because it allowed me to develop this, to come up with this book. I trademarked Fully Powered. Like all of that happened in a very short amount of time. So I share all of this very vulnerably, and I want people to see. I know high achievers are so afraid of failure,
Yeah.
but I've literally failed 32 times in a row. And I still was like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm going to give this signature talk. So I did. I created my own signature talk last September. I wrote this book, and now I'm developing the certification. So really, like, I always feel like there's multiple ways you can deal with something, but just like the homelessness, right? Like I could have crawled back to my parents. I could have crawled back to safety. And where would I be today? I wouldn't be making the impact that I am. So in that moment, like you asked about like what was motivating me, it's the mission, it's the why. It's like I don't want other people to sit here in victimhood and shame and guilt and, being disconnected from themselves, because that doesn't lead to fulfillment. That doesn't lead to us expressing who we really are in the world, which is what the world needs. So it's really like we create our lives. We have a conscious choice every day to make different choices, to invest in mentorship, to be in places and spaces where we're uplifted. And so that's what I create in my business. Is I love to create, specifically, like I love retreats and book signings. Like I pour so much into it because that is the environment I wish I would have had. So
That's amazing. And since we're talking about the fully powered framework, I would love to know.
yeah, so so there's multiple pieces to it, but I made, this is how big of a nerd I am. I made my own board.
Oh, wow.
ChatGPT helped me make this. I had it printed, and you can't see the bottom, but the bottom, it's really from burnout to brilliance. So at level 1 and 2, it's survival mode. So this is based upon the polyvagal theory
Okay.
by Dr. Stephen Porges. He's a researcher that showed that there's multiple different states that human beings, when we're under stress, we either go to fight, flight, freeze, which is a blended state of sympathetic and dorsal shutdown,
Yeah.
or we just go to complete shutdown. So think of like a computer.
Yeah.
If you've got so many tabs open, you typically would go to like freeze and shut down. So that's called allostatic load. So it's the amount of stress that we've accumulated over a lifetime. And it's these open stress loops that, unless we were really attuned with and connected with, and were able to have that emotion seen and witnessed, those emotions are like kind of stuck in the body. And so what's happening is people have all of these open loops, these undigested emotions, this allostatic load. Think of it like a big pool and there's like all these beach balls in there, right? They're so overloaded that they can't be creative. They can't show up to their life confidently because there's so much unresolved trauma. And so this framework is really helping people to move up to be fully powered by clearing those blocks, by helping their body feel safe through nervous system work. Because when the body feels safe, I say you have all the C words. So it's then you can be more curious. You could be more compassionate. You have more confidence. All of those things are possible, but we can't fully show up confidently if we're in those other states. It's called dysregulation. And so my fully powered framework, and I'm trying to show it here, most people that I start working with, they're either in survival mode, so overwhelm or shutdown, or they're in what's called overdrive. So there's a lot of urgency. There's a lot of pressure. They feel like they have to constantly like they're never at where they want to be. They feel behind. Like there's certain thoughts that accompany these different states. But then as you start doing the work that I'm talking about, the nervous system work, releasing emotions, clearing out that allostatic load, then you get to regulated power, where then you can actually have capacity to start focusing on high return on energy things that, like in your business, as an example, like things that actually move the needle, where in the lower states, there's a lot of self-sabotage and a lot of self-protection. So the bottom levels, it's like self-protection. I'm not safe to be who I am. And so as you move up the scale, you're releasing a lot of the conditioning. You're releasing emotions. You're learning safety in your body. And this shows up everywhere in your life, in your health, in your relationships, with your business. Because as an example, like even with visibility, I work a lot on people with visibility. And in the lower levels, right, people are protecting themselves. So visibility feels like exposure. It feels like, oh, I can't be seen. Like, don't look at my body. I had somebody say this to me yesterday, a client. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense, right? You want to protect yourself. And then at the higher levels, that's where you become more magnetic and your business gets a lot easier because it's easy for you to show up and be expressive. So in the bottom layers, it's exposure. In the higher levels, it's expressive. Like, here I am. Like I told you today, I'm like, I don't care. I cried. It is what it is. I don't care because I've conditioned my nervous system to hold higher levels of visibility without needing to use the word before performing. I don't need to perform. I'm here expressing, sharing my heart because of the inner work that I've done. And so many people look to strategy. They look to hacking the algorithm. They look to contorting themselves to look 20 years younger than they do in an AI picture. Like no one wants that. We want the real you.
That's true.
And so that's a lot of the work, believe it or not, that I do with my clients. It's like, let's unearth your gifts. Let's get you visible and expressing your true thoughts instead of like hiding everything and feeling like you can't be seen. So it's a multidimensional approach that I use, but then you eventually get to the point up here where your identity shifts. And because what's happening is, like I talked about before with those patterns, if you think of like a chair, you know how a chair has 4 legs?
Yes.
Like a stool or whatever. We build our identity on certain patterns, whether we realize it or not. So like, I'll use myself as an example. My chair, my identity was built on people pleasing. It was built on perfectionism, control, unworthiness, like all of these things that when I went to go start in my business, I wasn't able to hit the level of income that I wanted because that was my identity. It was in these lower levels. But then once I started doing that work to open up and heal these pieces, then I really started to be able to call in clients and magnetize people very easily. So that's really what this is about. It's power, but it's also capacity. Like, how can you actually hold higher levels of visibility, income, and impact? Because to the unconscious mind, more money, more visibility can be a threat. And then your body goes into fight, flight, freeze, or shutdown. So all of this ties in together. I could keep talking, but I'm going to let you talk. Sorry.
That's amazing. Thanks for explaining that, because I think a lot of people, they still don't understand what nervous system regulation is. And all of us, I think most of us probably who are still millennials or people even who are like older than us, these were the same pillars or foundations, the core principles that you're talking about. Most of us still have those as our foundations. And now as we are growing up, are unlearning a lot of stuff, but that takes a very long time. So,
Yeah, that's what my next book is about.
really?
So it's going to be called something with the word inheritance. You think of inheritance as money,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
right? Like, oh, I'm getting my inheritance.
Yeah.
But it's actually what you absorb from your family and the things you have to unlearn.
Yes, that's true.
So with all of that, and like when I talk about my certification,
Yeah.
it's really, I want people to go out into the world and use this framework to empower organizations, individuals, to have them become more of themselves, to elevate consciousness, to elevate spaces. And they're breaking generational cycles of trauma. So a lot of these people that I work with are trailblazers. They're people that want to do things different, just like I did.
That's amazing. And in easier words for people, maybe for some people, if the nervous system regulation part is newer to them, how would you like kind of explain it to them? Because I think all of us are in some state of fight and flight during the day.
So, like I said, there's fight or flight. So so think about if you, as an example, these are common business triggers, or for anybody listening, imagine if I told you to triple your prices of your package right now, any of your packages, right? So raising your prices, visibility fears. Imagine if I told you, Saba, to go stand on stage somewhere and there's 200 people in the audience and I give you a microphone, right? That's another trigger.
Yeah.
What about a client that's unhappy?
Yeah.
All of these situations are triggering. And it can get us into different states. So fight is more of like defensive. Like that's where I go, is like it's mobilization energy, meaning you're going to move toward the threat and you're going to justify or judge or defend. Flight is like, I'm going to run away because I'm going to avoid conflict at all costs.
Yeah.
So, but it's still mobilizing energy because you're moving away. Freeze energy is, I want to move forward, but I literally can't because I'm so frozen in fear. And then shutdown is like, I can't get out of bed. And this is just like, it's too overwhelming. Like small things feel very difficult to accomplish. And so it's kind of a range of how you mobilize energy or shut down. And I feel like a lot of pharmacists go into freeze. That's what I've noticed over a decade plus of working with a lot of high achievers, is we're in this blended state of, I want to move forward, but I can't. I want to hire this coach, but I'm afraid. Perfectionism, overthinking exists in that state. So there's a lot of, you can imagine, pharmacists or perfectionists. Like we want to make sure this is right. This prescription is right. So as you go into entrepreneurship and having your own business, that these patterns come up because your business is literally a mirror to all of the unhealed pieces of you that are going to be like, hey, I'm here to come out now. That's interesting. That's what's happening, is your body is going to see these things that happen as either a threat, and that's when you typically go into fight or flight, or danger. Is it this freeze and shutdown? And some people just go straight to freeze and shutdown. So there's this polyvagal ladder. And people just go right there. And there's nothing wrong or bad about it because your body's trying to protect you. So that's the easiest way I can explain it.
That makes sense. Okay. That helps. We've talked about being perfect or about people pleasing. And what are your thoughts on boundaries?
Yeah. So like, do you have a specific question about boundaries, or related to people pleasing, or what are you thinking?
What I'm thinking is, last night I was listening to Mel Robbins, and something that stayed with me was like, you can be a kind and a compassionate person, but you can still say no. just said in a very easy, in the most easiest way, but a lot of the time the same thing with the people pleasing and those things. It's hard to say no, although no is a complete sentence. So do you think we can still be kind and compassionate, but we can still develop those boundaries, especially
I
when
think
they
you
not?
know the answer to that. You just said it. Are boundaries something you struggle with?
Yes.
People pleasing?
Yes, yeah. And I think I've gotten much better over time. Yeah, because I did when I was young, because I belong to a Southeast Asian culture. Boundaries and people pleasing are too much conditioned into us. So I've
Yeah.
gotten better over the years, but I still struggle with boundaries when people pleasing at some point.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's more of
Yeah.
a flight response. So
Uh-huh.
flight, you want to avoid conflict, run away, avoid it at all costs, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say is that is what the nervous system work helps with, because it's a muscle
Mm-hmm.
that you have to grow. It's an emotional muscle.
Yeah.
So as an example, you might feel like a bad person if you say no to somebody and there's all of this guilt.
Mm-hmm.
I see that a lot with clients. And
Yeah.
so this is about holding yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
like you can still set a boundary, but then holding yourself and saying something kind, like I'm okay, I am safe setting this boundary, and feeling that in your body, because really that's what nervous system work is. It's staying connected to yourself in these moments when you want to run away, when you want to go into people pleasing. I literally can think of 5 scenarios in the last week
Yeah.
with team members, clients,
Yeah.
people that I've had to say no to.
Mhm.
But as an example, I had
Yeah.
someone who thought something was included in a package. And so this is what I did. I didn't give in to her because
Okay.
she wanted something for free.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I really value our relationship. I really value our relationship, and I want to make this a win-win situation for us both, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to screw myself. I don't want to screw her.
Yeah.
And I said, here are some options. Here are some other options. And so this is part of incorporating nervous system work into your actual business, because choice, context, and co regulation. So I'm giving her choices, they relax the nervous system.
Mm.
So on her end, now she's not like, oh my God, this is my only option.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, I've got a couple other options here. What sounds best to you? So I'm not abandoning myself. I'm serving her. I'm not withdrawing care from her.
Yeah.
And I'm giving her other options that maybe could fit her budget that she wants to do. It's not just saying it lovingly.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the after effects, like,
Yeah.
but then you still feel guilty, and then you go eat a pint of ice cream, and then there's all the, like, whatever. I don't know what the negative thing is there, right?
That's true.
I'm glad I made you laugh. Ben and Jerry's, whatever. It's like, because I felt that too. It's like that, oh, why? Why do I have to say this? Like, I don't even want to have to deal with this situation. But then you're like, and I teach my
Yeah.
clients this. I say, okay, what is true right now? Like, bring some safety to your body,
Mhm.
self-compassion. That's one of the pillars of the fully powered framework.
Yeah.
And then you can respond thoughtfully and really come from your heart and say, like, what can we do here? And I think if you come from your heart, you can't go wrong. So
That's true. That's strong and that's powerful. Thanks for touching so many things. And I'm sure what I feel, what you feel, there's so many other people who can't ask, or they're like just stuck. So yeah.
and like this just came through so powerfully as you were talking. Like, thank you for giving me space to share about this, because I want more women to be empowered, to set boundaries, to not get taken advantage of, to go for the raise, to whatever. Like, that is what this is about. It's empowerment. That's what this whole thing is about. And I want people to speak up and to share their gifts and to share their thoughts and to be included at different tables. Like, that is important.
That's true. That's true. And I think most of the things, the biggest thing you mentioned is fear. And then your mindset also plays a very important role. There's so many things that, would stop you. Like for me, starting this podcast, it took me at least a year and a half or even more than that, because I thought, what topics am I going to talk about? Even today, I'm not very confident about, I always have a fear of just turning on the camera, and there's so many things I can talk about, but oh my God, no, I still have to, work on my mindset. And then, but I'm so much better than probably where I was 2 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, that's growth. And that's the nervous system. Like, so your nervous system state dictates your thoughts. I didn't mention that before.
Yeah.
So, like,
Mhm.
if you're in freeze or shutdown, then everything is overwhelming. And so you never start. And so that's when you go back and forth and overthink everything. What am I going to talk about? That's a freeze state.
Yes.
And then that's why the thoughts come, because your body is frozen in fear, and then it loops back up. It's called neuroception, and it's how your brain gets the signal like, oh, this isn't safe, this is a danger, I can't do this. So
That's true. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. So probably when it comes to making reels, I'm still in my fear state. Yeah.
I'm here to help.
Okay. I totally agree. Perfect. Thanks for sharing that, Christina. Another thing I wanted to talk about was, because most of my conversation and work revolves around mental health, right? That's another thing where boundaries and
Yes.
people pleasing and those things do come up. And especially in our culture, most of the people that I do serve, this is the biggest thing. But I would like to specifically talk about mental health and postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about. Like, in your perspective, when you had your little one, how does nervous system dysregulation show up in experiences like these when a woman's body goes through so much? And how can we begin to support those women beyond just managing their symptoms, just giving them so many antidepressants and not actually helping them, being restored?
Yeah, so that was actually what my sixth book was about. I don't have a copy to like show it, but it's called Expanding Your Brilliance.
Okay.
And it's about navigating motherhood and business, or even if you don't have a business, motherhood and working. And that had 14 authors in it. So I actually published that 6 months, almost a year after my daughter was born. But HRV, so heart rate variability, is a direct measurement of your nervous system health. And HRV is dependent on sleep, hydration, your nervous system state, like, what's happening in your environment. And so when you're a new mom, your HRV is low. So we want a high HRV. That means that your body's resilient. You have a great immune system. You're not going to get sick. When it's low, that's when you get in trouble. And that's when you'll see people they'll get sick more often. They're less resilient to stress. And when you're a new mom and it's so unfamiliar,
Yeah.
it's a lot. So you're not sleeping. There's so much uncertainty. Like, the nervous system loves predictability. And when you have something uncertain, the nervous system, you avoid it at all costs, just like you talked about with your podcast, right? Because it's so unknown. Well, when you're thrust into motherhood, you have to figure it all out. So there's really no stability, and your HRV is very low.
Yeah.
So you really need to get support. And as an example, like, I had one grandparent that lived close by and was able to come and help, but that really wasn't enough. So my tip would be, if you are a new mom, make sure that you have plenty of support. Like, if you need to go lay down for 20 minutes, if you need to go for a walk around the block or punch a pillow or whatever because the baby's crying, like, have something for yourself and ask for support. Because the more support you have, then you have the ability to be present for your child. And I know that so many moms feel guilty about like daycare or having a nanny or whatever. And my advice there is don't, because then you're going to have, like, my daughter's at daycare right now. She goes 4 days a week. Someone asked, one of my husband's friends was like, "Oh, why do you need daycare?" I'm like, "Do you think that I can chase around a little baby and be present with Saba right now?"
No.
It's not going to happen. So I think it's really like being okay with that and getting support and not feeling like you have to do it all by yourself. And I remember like dropping my daughter off at daycare for the first day, and I was a mess because it's that control. It's like, oh my gosh, I literally just gave birth to this baby 7 weeks ago, and now I'm handing you over to a stranger. See ya in 7 hours. Like, so I would say the biggest thing is support. So like, I'm sure wherever you're listening, if you're a new mom, there is support everywhere. So like, connect with people on Facebook. I know it's called Empowering Moms, where they have different like virtual meetings and in-person meetings. Like, ask for your neighbors' help. Like, hey, can you cook dinner or whatever? Like, it's so crazy those first couple months that you need to really take care of yourself. And I had postpartum anxiety. So for me, it was really hard because my hormones were like fluctuating so much,
Yeah.
so what fills your cup? What allows you to feel better? Like, is it
Mhm.
going and getting a massage? Like, don't feel like you can't do what you need to do
Okay.
to help yourself,
Mm, that makes
to make yourself feel good. Like, go get your favorite smoothie, take a break, like anything that you need. There's your permission slip
sense.
for Christina Fontana.
That's true. We are getting better with this, but even now, when I see a lot of new moms or moms who have kids for a while, they still feel stuck in that loop and they're okay taking those antidepressants for so long, but fail to recognize that there's something deeper that they need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for sure, and give yourself grace. Like, and if
Mhm.
you need to, like I started seeing a therapist just to get some extra support. Like, I already had a coach and I was like, I just need a little bit of extra support. And maybe for you it is a pill, for a time being, and then you come off of it. Like,
Mhm.
have compassion, because that's a really tough time frame
Infant,
of like having a newborn,
newborn. That's true.
the first 2 or 3 months. So
That's true. And I think even after that newborn time, Christina, there are a lot of moms that would still be stuck. Even their kid is probably a year or 2 year old. I feel if they're not addressed at that time, the resentment and those kind of things, they kind of linger for a longer period of time.
yeah, absolutely. Well, people have to be willing. They have to be willing to ask
Mm-hmm.
for help, because
Yeah.
it's vulnerable. We're so used to giving as
I
women.
mean, yes, yeah.
Receiving help can be like a block as well, because then people think, I'm not capable, I'm not good enough. If I was smart enough, I wouldn't need a coach. Like, there's all of these blocks that I've seen too in people, that they're like, nope, I'm good.
That's true.
But it actually hinders you. It doesn't allow you to have more energy to show up whenever your child is there. So I really encourage people to lean on support.
That's true. And I think the biggest thing is a lot of people now, most of them know, but still there are some communities or some ethnicities where people still don't fully understand the concept of postpartum depression or anxiety.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can reach those people, and they hear this podcast.
Yes, and hopefully they can learn that, it is okay for them to just, focus on themselves first, because if they don't fix themselves, they cannot be present for the kids.
Mm.
So hopefully that helps. Let's just shift some gears and come to the fun part. I typically do, like, I ask a couple of questions. It's like a quick rapid fire round. And
Oh,
yes, and it would be just answer with the first thing that comes to your mind: tea or coffee.
coffee.
Okay. A non-negotiable daily practice.
Nervous system work.
Okay. A belief that you had to unlearn to grow into this awesome version of yourself.
Geez, that was so nice. I don't know if you say that to everybody.
No, I
It
know.
was that rest, that if you rest or slow down, that you're lazy or you're not worthy.
Wow, that's powerful. One advice that you would now give to your younger self.
I would say, oh my gosh, you just wait, honey. Like, you just wait for what God has in store for you, because it is going to blow your mind. That's what I would tell my 24-year-old self.
Wow, that's amazing. What does fully empowered feel like in one sentence for you?
It's freedom to be yourself, and to, when you're in these higher levels, you don't give your power away to what other people think, or how does my hair look, or whatever. It's like, you show up in service, you show up and you express, you show up and you're just yourself, and it's like this free feeling, and I'm getting chills as I say it. It's freedom.
Freedom. Wow.
Yeah.
That's strong. That's strong. What is one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
I'm a really good hula hooper.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, I can hula hoop for a while. And I also love to dance.
Dance.
So the people probably know that.
Okay, amazing. A habit you swear by for mental clarity.
I would say meditation.
Okay,
Being with God, meditation.
that helps. Okay. A misconception people have about mental health.
That if you ask for help, that you're weak, or
Yeah.
that you're less than, or even like if you cry, that's weak, because that's how I was raised, is like not to have any emotion, only express positive, happy emotions. And I think that that's just very that's how we create suppression. That's how we then have to rely on medications for mental health. So I think it's like so opposite. And I think people are embracing that more, that you can feel your feelings. And I think I saw a study that people like millennials and like younger generations aren't drinking as much alcohol. And I feel like alcohol for me, I don't even drink it. It numbs your emotions. And I used it in a bad, unhealthy way for many years. So I think the younger generations are seeing that too.
That's true. That I totally agree. The new people or new people that we see, they're like they have had bad experiences with it, or they had one of the loved ones suffer from it. Therapy, journaling, or meditation. What is your top?
Therapy, journaling, or meditation?
All three of them.
My gosh, I would replace therapy with nervous system work. I would, whatever resonates for you. Like if there's a certain tool that you like, for me, like I do all, not therapy. I have a nervous system coach. I do journal, and then I meditate and do nervous system practices. So all three.
Perfect. One thing you wished more people asked for help with?
Feeling their feelings. Like really, I think a lot of us are blocked, and we don't access our inner world, and we're just go survival mode. What's the next thing? Taking kids to dance practice, like whatever. I think it's that permission to slow down and to say, like, what do I want?
Yeah, that's true.
How do I want to be in my business, in my life? It's maybe an awareness.
That's true. A belief that you had 5 years ago that now you have outgrown.
Probably that I couldn't handle a child, and I definitely can. Like I'm really proud of myself.
That's amazing. One piece of advice that you could give to new moms or postpartum.
Give yourself permission to get support.
Okay, that's amazing.
That's it. Just do it.
Let's do it.
Give yourself permission to just do it.
And you don't need to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And last two questions. One boundary that changed your life that you learned.
Can I say moving away from my family? No, I'm kidding. I talk to them now. It's good, but like I'm a big advocate of boundaries in so many different ways. Like to have a sustainable business, you need boundaries, you need structure, you need processes, and that's it. And like I can't say one specific boundary, but I would just say having them.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. The last one. A book, podcast, or a voice that influenced your thinking recently.
I really like this book. This is a good one. It's called Feel Free to Prosper.
Okay.
And it's all about the energy of business, money. It has a really good way of describing, because I talk with my clients too about this, like energetics and the quantum field and how the field responds. Like as an example, if I were to give you a present and you weren't to give me one back or whatever, then that doesn't matter, because my giving and my circulation is going to come back because the quantum field is responding through some other door. So I think a lot of people are transactional with their giving, but it helps you see from a bigger perspective that like the good that you put out into the world and how you circulate your energy and your wealth and your love, like that compounds and it comes back in the most beautiful way. So that's a really good read. I like that one. Thank you so much, Dr. Christina. This conversation, it really highlights something important. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your story. And what we learned is, true success isn't about constantly pushing harder. It's about learning how to operate from a different mindset, to have regulation, especially nervous system regulation, having clarity and alignment. Thank you for all the work you do, and you share your voice, and I love your energy. And thank you for sharing your insights, your heart with us. I truly appreciate it. And to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, your mental health journey is unique, and it is okay to seek care that truly works for you. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Until next time, take care and stay balanced. Thank you so much. Bye.